is Mental Chain and welcome to another tank review. Today we are looking at the TVP VTU Koncept, the tier 8 Czech medium tank. So this has to be the hardest YouTube review you can ever make because this tank has it has two configurations, let's be real here, that are viable to use. There is the 88mm gun with the stock turret that gives you more gun depression, better DPM than the top turret and the 105, obviously less alpha damage, but as you can see you do get 8 degrees of gun depression, you get less health, you get less view range, and the aiming time and all that is actually better than on the 105, which is something to consider. The 105 with the top turret gets 6 degrees of gun depression, you do get better damage per shot, but slightly less pen, more view range, more health. So I played it with a 105. If you are reasonably happy with the 88 performance, you should stick to it because the 105 doesn't really increase much, and you're just going to be spending a lot of experience to get it, and you can just skip it if you probably won't be playing with it anyways, but I played it with it as I am, I know myself and I know that I like to play tanks with higher alpha damage guns. I think in solo play it just lets you more effectively distribute your health and trade more effectively, but at the same time the 88 gun has its perks as well. But like playing this with 88 for me was just like you play a bad tier 8 medium tank with absolutely nothing going for it. With a 105 at least you had the alpha damage that you could effectively use against other medium tanks and so on. So the tank in general, no armor, absolutely no armor here. As you can see, like the most you'll find here is probably going to be in gun mantlet, and even though this gun mantlet looks huge, it's like super long and all that, the fucking armor here is like 178 at most. That like doesn't make any sense. Absolutely no sense. Like they have to fucking made this out of tinfoil to have this much armor at those kind of angles, and I guess they did because it's not Russian. That being said, there's no armor here. There's no point wasting your time. And as I said, gun depression with this top turret 105, 6. Gun depression with the stock turret and 88 is 8. The gun depression with the 88 on this turret, by the way, is 6. And gun depression with the 105 on the stock turret is 5. So there's no other configurations that really make sense here apart from those two that I mentioned. That being said, let's get into the replay. And here is the game. Playing Cliffs, playing tier 9 game. Respawn on the good side though, so we are likely to win this game no matter what here, really. But as always, before I do my shit hits the fan, let's go through some of the stats that we already didn't go through. I will be focusing mostly on the 105 gun, and if you want to see somebody play it with an 88, I'm pretty sure every other fucking YouTuber played it with an 88 gun and made a review for it as well. But here's my perspective on the 105 and why I chose to play with it. So 1450 health, 380 view range, top speed forwards 50, backwards 20, power to weight 19.35, tank traverse 44, turret traverse 42. Terrain resistance isn't too bad, but isn't epic either. And when we come to the gun, 1745 base DPM, 220 damage per shot, 188 penetration. Aiming time 2.4, accuracy 0.4. The soft stats on the gun are actually pretty good for the size of it and the tier of the tank. And another note for this gun is pretty poor shell velocity at 900. 88 I think has more than 1k, so there is something to note there as well. But the simple thing is, in positions like this, like where I am now, this gun is just more effective. Like, I shoot people for 300 once, they don't shoot me, even if they shoot me back. Like, I was fine trading there. I shot him for 340, he shot him for 240. Well, arguably, I could have made that shot with an 88 gun without him shooting me back. Maybe, that's possible, but at the same time I would have done less damage, and you don't really want to over peak angles like this too much anyways, especially because most games you have RE here as well. This game we don't, but then again, like around 10-second reload is really healthy in this game because that's really the time it takes to get unspotted. So as long as you are able to fall back after every shot, this reload isn't even that annoying. It lets you get unspotted and peek over and over and take your shots with a healthy gap between them so you don't get focused too badly. And also having this stock turret increases my hit points, so I don't really mind like throwing away 240 for shooting a Tiger P if that makes any sense. Another thing I forgot to mention about this turret is that not only it decreases gun depression for the 88 gun, but it also decreases power to weight because it's quite a bit heavier than the stock turret on this thing, even though it has absolutely no armor anyways. So I've sat in that pocket for long enough, nobody's really peeking for it, so I'm just gonna go hill here. There is not too many threats that could shoot me here, especially if I get out of this position quickly enough, and I managed to do just that. So we managed to climb the hill without taking any damage. I did play this game on stream, so this is the point where somebody either tipped me shitload of money or I'm just drinking beer now. So, you know, taking tactical pause from playing the game, even though there's absolutely no rational reason to do that. I could have easily just peeked earlier and shot those assholes in the face. But then again, sometimes just timing out and, you know, doing nothing for a second or two might not be the worst thing ever, because, you know, your enemies sometimes are expecting you to peek different kind of angles, and if you just do nothing, you might make them look away at the time you peek. Like this Indian Panzer, for instance, is completely clueless, and again he dies before I go for him, and now we just shoot the 44 instead. So really the saddest thing about this tank is that there is tanks in premium store that are better than this, and you know, premiums are supposed to be worse than regular tier 8s. Like CDC is much better than this tank with a stock gun. Even arguably the STA2 is much better than this tank with a stock gun, and tanks like M4 Ravioli and the D34-3 are better than this tank with a big gun. So you can't really win with this. It's always going to be bad, and I saw this literally instantly after I stopped grinding it. It's a really, really annoying grind. It's slow. Like, the tank itself isn't even that slow. It's one of the faster tier 8 mediums. It actually is faster than the STA2, but it's also much worse than the STA2, because even with the stock gun you have less gun depression, you have way less pen, and yeah, the STA2 is just way more competitive than this is. But I am doing my fair share of damage here. Shot here, shot there, and we are built up to already 3k pretty much, and now we're at 3k. A bit unfortunate, the amount of health on that Conqueror, need to peek for him again. Really would be quite shitty to get shot here by him, as I can't really afford that. That would be a one shot for the SU or even the Borsig in that case. Now we're gonna go for the greed play and load HE for the Borsig. HE damage I think on this gun is close to 400. It probably is 400 exact, so it's pretty healthy amount of damage to do for a tank like this. Like a weapon I would suggest to use on this, with this turret at least, is Rammer, Vert Stabs, and Optics. With either turret you might consider Binos, but at the same time, like if you have a nut screw, Optics probably just gonna be just fine, or you can just use Consumable and Ventilation and Optics instead of the Vert Stab on that gun. Pretty nice 420 roll on the Borsig. I should have loaded AP now because, well, in theory it's not too bad to have HE here, because I could shoot like an outside of his track, but it would be like extremely unlikely that he would live that long. Pretty healthy roll on the SU-12254 with this HE anyway, so can't be too sad about that, I guess. With this kind of playstyle where you shoot once, fuck off, and then peek again in 10 seconds, this tank can be extremely powerful in games like these where you have the time, where you have the free shots on your enemies and so on. It's a really good support tank for games like these, but most of the time you're either gonna get rushed at some point. Some mediums with like much better DPM are just gonna shit on you, your accuracy is gonna fail you, unlike in that shot, and it's just gonna be a sad panda and cry every time. This game though, none of that happened, so pretty much everything falling into places for me, especially because, you know, the enemies did not really even try to go for the hill, especially the 54 in their team should have definitely contested the hill if he wanted to win this game. Crew skill is pretty standard here, nothing really unique that you need on this tank. Obviously it's a driving ammo rack like every other tank without any kind of armor, so your hull sides are all ammo rack as well, so that is something to be aware of. Another shot into that SU, nice 350 roll there, and he should get finished off by the E1, and that is exactly what is happening now. The E1 is bouncing, but he gets him just before I manage to reload. Anyways, at this point the game is pretty much over though. The T-54 and the Yak Tiger 80 get left. I'm pretty sure that 54 is a one shot, and so is the Yak Tiger pretty much as well. So we're just gonna advance here and see if we can spot them without getting our face shot off, and maybe kill them as well. That's a pretty fucking dodgy shot there, but the 54 is a much easier shot for me, and I will pull it before he shoots at me and hit it right in the middle of the side of his hull, which was quite a bit lucky there. And now the last shot into the Yak Tiger before anybody else can finish him off as well. So we do again end up 2 last kills in that game as well. And here is the end plates. Ace Tanker 2000 325 experience, high caliber, 4,777 damage done, 1,125 damage assisted as well. With those 2 kills at the end, we picked up 4 in total, 1,550 base experience as well. In conclusion, the TVP is a pretty poorly balanced tier 8 medium. I don't get the reasoning behind like making the stock turret a viable option and like downgrading the top turret by so much with like limiting your gun depression and shit. Makes absolutely no sense game balance wise, because it's not like this tank would even be good if you gave the 8 degrees to the top turret and all the benefits of the top turret and kept the gun depression of the stock turret. It would still not be great. It would be much better, of course, but still, it wouldn't even be close to the best tier 8 mediums. So, yeah, not really sure what they were thinking, but I hope you enjoyed my look of the tank and the 105 playstyle, and I will see you on the next one.